You know, a recent missile strike in a small Israeli city has done so much more than just cause local devastation. It's basically pulled back the curtain on a brand new, long-range threat that, believe it or not, puts the entire world on notice.
I mean, just look at this. This was the scene in the southern Israeli city of Arad. And what started as what you might think is just a regional attack, well, it very quickly revealed some massive global implications.
But that's the big question, right? How on earth does a single missile strike, way out in the Israeli desert, end up sending a warning shot to capitals all across Europe? That is exactly the question we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, with the devastating impact of that initial missile strike on the city of Arad.
All right, so the target was this city, Arad. It's got about 25,000 people, and an Iranian ballistic missile just slammed right into a civilian area. We're talking more than 100 people wounded. And then, there are these reports that the missile might have been carrying cluster munitions. Now, if you don't know, those are smaller explosives that are designed to spread out over a huge area, which just dramatically increases the potential for civilian casualties. It's really nasty stuff.
So naturally, the response from Israel was incredibly swift, and right away it highlighted a really crucial international partnership.
You had Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking exclusively to Fox News, and he really emphasized just how close the coordination was with the United States. His words were designed to send a clear signal, a united front against this escalating aggression.
But here's where the story takes a major turn. Beyond the immediate strike and the political response, something else happened. Something that fundamentally changed the entire strategic map. Honestly, you could argue this was the single most significant development of this whole incident.
So get this, Iran launched 2 ballistic missiles, but not at Israel. No, they launched them at a joint US-UK base way out in the Indian Ocean. Now, one of the missiles fell short, and the other got intercepted by a warship. But here's the kicker. The target itself? It wasn't nearly as important as the distance it traveled. I mean, we're talking about a base that's located roughly 4,000 kilometers away from Iran. That's more than 2,000 miles. Let that sink in for a second. This launch wasn't really an attack. It was a demonstration. It was Iran sending a very clear signal to the world that its missile capabilities have expanded dramatically.
So what does a 4,000-kilometer range actually mean? We'll have a look. Suddenly, you've got major European capitals. We're talking Berlin, Paris, Rome, even London. They're all potentially within Iran's strike radius. This is a complete game changer. It is not just a regional issue anymore. Not by a long shot.
And this new capability, it just exposes some really serious vulnerabilities. And not just in Europe, but also in the absolutely critical Gulf region.
And this really highlights a huge problem. See, Israel has one of the world's most sophisticated multi-layered air defense networks. You got the Iron Dome, Arrow 2 and 3, the THAAD system. It's like a fortress. But then you look at Europe, and many countries there just don't have that same level of advanced systems. It raises some pretty serious questions about just how prepared they are for this new reality.
You know, this threat isn't just about cities or military bases. It extends to the entire global economy. Iran has been targeting energy infrastructure right in the Gulf, including facilities in Qatar, which happens to be the world's biggest producer of liquefied natural gas, or LNG. So when you have attacks on these sites, plus oil fields, desalination plants, you're talking about a direct risk to the world's energy supply, and that affects all of us.
But you know, there's a fascinating and probably unintended consequence to all this. It seems like Iran's very own actions are actually forging a brand new and pretty unexpected alliance in the region. Think about it. By targeting Gulf countries that were trying to stay neutral, countries that weren't directly involved, Iran is basically forcing them to find common ground. It's a classic case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're all starting to realize they share a common threat.
And the logic here is pretty straightforward. Step 1, Iran starts attacking multiple regional players, even neutral ones. Step 2, those Gulf countries start to identify a common enemy. And Step 3, a broader anti-Iran coalition starts to emerge. It's creating the very thing it would want to avoid, and you've got former rivals suddenly finding very good reasons to cooperate.
And at the end of the day, it really all comes down to this one word: unpredictability. That's what's reshaping the entire diplomatic landscape. The fact that Iran has shown it's willing to target neutral countries, that it's willing to target critical global infrastructure, that is the main catalyst driving this whole new alignment.
So where does that leave us? Well, we're looking at a new reality.
one where Iran has a demonstrated 2,000-mile missile range and, maybe more importantly, a new willingness to act completely unpredictably. The conflict has absolutely entered a new phase. The question isn't if it's going to widen anymore, it's how. And that's a really sobering thought that shifts the entire strategic calculation for nations all around the world.